I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. This is January of 2019. As you can see, we got a little display of the history of the turbo hybrid and some of the accessories. And I'm here with Mr. Markovic. Markovic, sorry about that, Mark. That we can thank for bringing this, the whole the idea of the turbo spinner tile tool to the carpet cleaning industry. I'm going to let Mark tell you about the history of how it all happened and the iteration of all these tools and the timeline of them. So Mark, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I've been cleaning for 35 years. Started with a rinse and vac, doing pest control customers. I was doing pest control at the time. My machine was broken. I fixed it, much like Gordon Hanks started his business. Same machine, exactly. And accidentally, I met a customer's house and cleaning the carpet, and the pre-spray got over onto the tile, and when it dried, it left a white residue, so I need to clean it. She said, I never saw that color before. After I cleaned it, she said, I think it's stained. And I said, no, it actually cleaned some previous dirt in the grout. She goes, my grout's that dirty? And so I said, I think so. So we cleaned more, and she says, oh my gosh. So I couldn't use my upholstery tool to keep cleaning that floor, so I decided I need to make something that's going to clean this whole floor, just to help this lady. I never thought anything outside of that. So the Viper was born out of the concept of a single jet with a surrounding suction boot that could not scratch the floor, but it would just glide across the floor, suck the wastewater away, have a valve right at the end.
This was your actual tool
This is
that you made from basically dry vacuum parts, from the looks of it?
S-bend lemon wand. This is an upholstery tool. We made a ring. My father and I later, we machined it on a lathe.
That was an upholstery tool.
This was an upholstery tool, vacuum tool. So we machined a groove in there for the brass ring to fall into, lubed it up with grease.
And your hose is internal.
My hose went internal.
But that was the one of a kind. Nobody sold that for some time. You were the only.
Well, no, we quickly realized somebody might want it. We started mass producing it. Bridgepoint came along and decided that's a cool tool. They wanted to buy.
You can still buy the same thing nowadays, right?
A different version is called the Gecko. So the Gecko then was spun off of that after we parted ways with Bridgepoint Interlink.
Is this a Gecko here?
This is, no, a Gecko would have been in the middle if I had one. Gecko is similar to this tool. This is called the Raptor, which
Raptor, okay.
TurboForce International produced with the same boot concept, same internal jet, only we mounted it differently, and it was a little better idea. We powder coated the aluminum
Ergo handle.
We went to stainless instead of aluminum, gave it more value.
You can still buy that tool virtually?
And, yes.
Okay.
So the handle went above instead of below.
So how many square feet of tile and grout did you clean with that 5-inch head before?
3/4 inch cleaning path because it's a single jet.
3/4 inch.
So I'm cleaning grout only. But when I realized the grout was dirty and cleaning well, but so was an edge of each tile, I had to clean the whole tile.
And what year was this? 99?
1999 is when this.
So there weren't glides around. You weren't cleaning with a steel lit wand, obviously. Nowadays a lot of people can clean lightly soiled hard surface with a glided wand. So before that.
So that launched into the idea that we needed to make a spinner tool. I got my inspiration not from Divine Source or anything, but ProChem, who had designed a very impressive, heavy, expensive tool that was going to clean hard surfaces using the heated water from a truck mount. That tool was cast aluminum. You can still see them on Google Images or somewhere on the web, maybe even for sale.
Was that a Jim Roden?
That's Jim Roden's design for cleaning tile and grout. But again, it required close to $3,000 to make it work. Cost around $3,000. Not everybody would want to buy a heavy, very heavy, stout machine to just clean tile and grout in a home.
All right, so let's move over to the tools here. You got them in order.
We quickly built an iteration. Actually, my very first prototype was a stainless steel 20-inch version. And it was just too heavy, and it sucked too tightly to the ground, and it was just a good idea that needed more development. I got a financial partner. We started getting into some
And what is this?
And this is Lexan, because you can glue it with solvent-based glues. We built it. We used aluminum clips. We used brush strips that were bent for us into the right diameter. There's no skirt or seal. It was just a free-floating bristle. So we had left a lot of water behind in this.
No vacuum relief.
No vacuum relief of any kind, because the vacuum relief was air getting in from these bristles, so it didn't need a relief.
And which of these spinners did it have in there?
And the spinner we started with was, of course, simple hardware, simple plumbing, which is elbows, tubes, and so forth. The swivel we couldn't engineer or make. It's already on the market. Dublin from Germany made a very expensive one. We couldn't even think of using theirs because of the price. So, of course, Mossmatic became the swivel of choice. Very well engineered.
Still
very
used on them.
Still used today by everybody who makes a spinner today that I have researched. So here's a simple design that was used in that kind of concept. Again, the 24 degree is the sweet spot angle for today's truck mounts. Today's truck mounts are higher, but some are lower, and we needed to have the spin rotation be at the right speed to get an efficient move of the tool. Otherwise, you create a clean corkscrew across the pile.
You say higher or lower pressure or
Yeah.
heat?
Well, heat is irrelevant. The amount of pressure that's coming out of these jets determines how fast the spin.
And most trucks need, what, 700 to spin correctly?
I draw the line at 1200. I cannot tolerate using 700, especially if you have a new swivel, and the new swivel hasn't been broken in, so it's kind of stiff. So the idea is we want a tool that spins for an average amount of truck mounts on the market. So 24 degrees was that sweet spot. If you straighten the angle down more, it spins slower, but you're impacting the floor longer and harder. Actually, a better clean, but now you got to move your tool real slow. So that's how that iteration evolved.
Okay, let's see number 2
started
here.
testing materials like ABS, which is very durable, very strong. This is a polycarbonate, which is strong but very expensive to try to form. We had to overlay it with fiberglass just to continue testing. This particular product is ABS, and we started vacuum form pressure assist forming. Sheet of ABS, infrared heaters, lower and upper, vacuum form pulls it onto a mold, and you get the shape you want. We had two. We had an inner shell, which this is, and an outer shell. The problem with ABS is it has a 400-degree softening point, which it would just sag down. The spinner spray bar would skim and touch the floor, scratching tile. So it was just a bad idea. So we went to polypropylene. Polypropylene is durable enough, not impact resistant like ABS, but heat resistant, chemical resistant, and just more durable. And if you're reasonably careful.
Who was producing this tool with this handle,
Well, this was
the crinkle coat?
TurboForce International.
It was TurboForce.
We were
Okay.
Viper Power Systems when we first formed the company. This is then the iteration that spun off of that.
So you were using the Viper name before Interlink was?
Yeah, Viper Venom was, I coined the name for Viper Venom, Viper Chemicals, everything. That was my design.
Huh.
Viper was the name of the tool.
That's
Customer named that tool. It's called the two-step Viper. He was a Vietnam vet. He said, that reminds me of the two-step Viper. I didn't understand what he meant. He said that was a booby trap we encountered
Oh, wow.
while we were in Vietnam, and that's why he named it for me. It just stuck. So the Viper Power Systems, we had decal on here for that. We powder coated steel handles that were relatively inexpensive to produce. Hose from,
That's missing a handle, right?
yeah, it's missing the actual
Okay.
trigger valve gun. which
Okay.
We made it simple. It's just a valve gun, which is one handle, and the other is just a bar.
I think there's still some of these being used to this
I
day.
see videos all day long. They're
Yeah.
durable enough if you're reasonably.
And what did those sell for when they came out?
These were $1,795 in
Wow. Those were the days
There
when
was
you
no
might
competition.
have one tile cleaner in town, right?
There was no competition.
Yeah.
The tool. The vacuum compensator, which is really the meat of why the tool does what it does. If the compensator opens, it's because you're on a flat level area with no grout joints, there's no relief, so it has to open, or you have a suction cup you can't move. Try a Vortec with this and hold that up. No one's going to move this tool.
What did it cost you to produce that?
It was $76.
Huh?
Yeah.
The whole tool?
Uh-huh.
You sold it for $1,700.
Free enterprise. It is America.
Sure.
All right, so that
Pay for itself in one job.
The bent spray bar, which we had Mossmatic custom make for us, and it was the right position. It was everything we thought it needed to be. It actually had an angle outward. They had to thread these. They were actually more costly to produce because of the bends and the threading, but we eliminated the elbows that would get
Is
out
it
of
welded to that or threaded
This is
in?
welded in. Oh no, these were threaded early on.
Okay.
And they would change because guys wanted to change it. The problem is, once you change them or you over tighten, now you've got threads work bigger, the tubes
They'll
have shrunk
come
in,
loose.
They never stay. You got to use Loctite. So we're trying to get away from the idea of everything changing. I mean, I've been to a Bridgepoint Opportunity meeting where these jets were sideways. Great spinner,
Yeah.
terrible cleaner. It would rinse the floor because water was raining down on the floor, but it wasn't impact cleaning at all.